U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said today was the most productive day they have had in the past 10 months. However, no agreement has yet been reached. The statement came after Sunday's peace talks with top Kyiv officials on ending the war in Ukraine. Rubio said they hope to have a proposal soon, but no deadline has been set.
I think the takeaway from it is I think this was a very, very meaningful, I would say probably best meeting and day we've had so far in this entire process, going back to when we first came into office in January. But there's still some work left to do, and that's what our teams are going to be doing right now.
Rubio noted that any final product, once ready, will still have to be presented to Moscow. Trump's 28-point peace plan has been criticized by Western allies who say it favors Moscow. Meanwhile, on the ground, Ukraine's Special Operation Forces carried out a series of drone strikes on Russian positions in the Donetsk region, as Russian attacks have killed at least 6 people over the past 24 hours. In a statement, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said Ukraine must have the freedom and sovereign right to choose its own destiny. The message comes as Ukrainian, EU and top US officials are meeting in Geneva on Sunday to discuss Ukraine's peace plan. As von der Leyen announced the 3 elements the bloc has agreed upon to ensure a lasting peace and Ukraine's sovereignty.
Borders cannot be changed by force. Second, as a sovereign nation, there cannot be limitations on Ukraine's armed forces that would leave the country vulnerable to future attack and thereby also undermining European security. Third, the centrality of the European Union in securing peace for Ukraine must be fully reflected.
On Saturday, Western allies worked to revise the US peace plan, which they believe leans too much in Moscow's favor. Russian attacks have killed at least 6 people and injured 36 others across Ukraine over the past day, according to local authorities on Sunday. Overnight, Russia launched 98 drones, as well as multiple rocket launchers and glide bombs hitting 12 locations. A drone strike on the central city of Dnipro hit a residential building, as an attack in Zaporizhzhia targeted a supermarket and a residential building, injuring 6 people, the local governor wrote on Telegram. Meanwhile, Ukraine's military reportedly struck the Shatura thermal power plant in the region of Moscow overnight, as members of a pro-Ukrainian partisan group called Atesh have declared to have sabotaged an electric locomotive allegedly used for transporting military cargo from the Russian city of Rostov-on-Don.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa declared the G20 summit in Johannesburg closed on Sunday with a glaring absence of the United States, the next country to lead the bloc after the Trump administration boycotted the 2-day talks.
To the next president of the G20, which is the United States.
Banging a wooden gavel on a block like a judge would in the G20 tradition, Ramaphosa was to hand over to the leader of the country to hold the rotating presidency, but no U.S. official was there to receive it. The White House said it had made a last-minute decision for an official from its embassy in South Africa to attend the G20 handover, but South Africa refused that, saying it was an insult for Ramaphosa to hand over to a junior embassy official. In the end, no U.S. delegation was accredited for the summit. The G20, the first to be held in Africa, broke with tradition by issuing a leader's declaration on the opening day of the talks, when declarations usually come at the end of the summit.
Business activity in the Eurozone held firm in November, building on the solid pace of growth recorded last month. October's figures reflected the largest expansion in Eurozone activity in over 2 years, largely thanks to continued resilience in the services sector. The Flash Purchasing Managers Index, known as PMI, released on Thursday by ratings and intelligence agency S&P Global, fell marginally from 52.5 recorded in October to 52.4 this month, in line with expectations. The services sector remained the key driver of growth, with activity rising to 53.1, its highest level since May 2024, defying forecasts of a modest slowdown. Manufacturing, by contrast, lost momentum, with the PMI slipping to 49.7, its weakest reading in 5 months. This could be attributed to the sharp rise in input costs for businesses, possibly driven by higher tariffs and the rising electricity costs, according to data collected in a recent survey. Despite the steady growth, however, the pace of new orders at European businesses slightly softened in the month of November, as weakness in external demand persists. The Bulgarian General Directorate for Combating Organized Crime and Sofia City Prosecutor's Office announced that 35 Bulgarians were arrested for antique trafficking in an international operation involving Europol. Many treasure hunters, dealers, and high-level traffickers were detained both in Bulgaria and elsewhere in a coordinated operation spanning 8 countries.
Bulgaria requested Europol support almost 2 years ago. Because of the complexity of the case and the intensive investigation measures needed, we have proposed to set up a kind of an operational task force with Bulgaria, Europol, but also European and non-European countries.
30 час се провежда полицейската операция, още не е приключила. На терен имаме над 220 служители на ГДБОП, които извършват множество процесуални следствени действия, предимно претърсване и изземване, както и от прокуратурата казаха, това са на жилища, офиси, различни имоти, моторни превозни средства.
The criminal network has operated for 16 years across Western Europe, the United States, and the Balkans. They have many subcontractors in other countries ranging in specialties and professions. In Greece, archaeologists and professors were arrested after evidence suggested they were involved in the scheme.
Общата стойност е над 100 милиона евро на откритите вещи на черен пазар. Това не е цена, която е определена на нормалния пазар на артефакти. Още повече говорим за артефакти, които са придобивани незаконно. Някои от тях, голямата им част, от нелегални разкопки в района на Балканските държави, така също и в Италия.
In addition to international trafficking of historical valuables, members of the group are also being investigated for money laundering and other financial offenses.
We bring you into the world of priestesses and young men known as kurai, who every time light the Olympic flame in a globally admired ceremony in ancient Olympia. The daily rehearsals for the flame lighting ceremony are intensive, but the final result travels all over the world, filling the host cities with pride. 10 days before the ceremony, a group of 45 people, girls and boys, settled in the hostels of the International Olympic Academy in ancient Olympia to support the high priestess in the ceremony in lighting the Olympic flame and sending the universal message of peace among people. The artistic director of the Olympic Flame ceremony since 2008 is the choreographer Artemis Ignatiou. Ignatiou has overseen all the details of this year's ceremony and is now overseeing the last intensive rehearsals that she has been doing with her team for several weeks. Rehearsals take place not only in the facilities of the International Olympic Academy, but mainly in the adjacent sacred archaeological site where the Olympic Games were born 2,800 years ago.
Η ομάδα είναι μια ομάδα ανθρώπων που είναι όλοι καλλιτέχνες, είναι καθηγητές χορού ή ηθοποιοί. Προσφέρουμε όλοι εθελοντικά τις υπηρεσίες μας για τη χώρα μας, για την Ελλάδα και να ταξιδέψει, αυτό ζητούμε, το μήνυμα της Ολυμπιακής Εκεχηρίας σε όλο τον κόσμο. Γιατί στην ερώτηση, σε οποιαδήποτε ερώτηση, η απάντηση είναι ειρήνη σε όλο τον κόσμο.
This year's ceremony is entitled Maidens and Kurai, the Eternal Awakening. It is naturally inspired by these magnificent statues of antiquity where the maidens and kurai come to life in front of spectators.
Συμμετέχω από το 2011 στις τελετές αφής και παράδοσης, σε καινούργια χορογραφία κάθε φορά και το συναίσθημα πραγματικά είναι μοναδικό. Το πιο σημαντικό σε αυτή την ομάδα είναι το δέσιμο, το δώσιμο και όλα αυτά τα κοινά συναισθήματα με έναν και μόνο στόχο, να στείλουμε το μήνυμα της ειρήνης παντού.
Η εμπειρία είναι ξεχωριστή και μαγική κάθε φορά. Συνδεόμαστε ως ομάδα, ως μια μεγάλη οικογένεια και αυτό είναι απίστευτο. Τα αγόρια έχουν ενεργό ρόλο αναπαριστώντας τα γάλματα του Διός, είτε Ολυμπιονίκες αθλητές και ακριβώς μετά ως κούρι σε καινούργια χορογραφία κάθε φορά στην Ολυμπιάδα.
Rehearsals are almost complete and, according to the artistic director and the volunteers, everything flowed beautifully. Participating dancers and actors are feeling a sense of family and duty while performing in the flame lighting in ancient Olympia. For many of them, doing this in the authentic place of the first Olympics is truly magical.
Ομορφιά, αρμονία, χάρη. Τα τρία αυτά γνωρίσματα που συνδέουν το αρχαίο ελληνικό κάλος με τις σύγχρονες Ολυμπιακές αξίες χαρακτηρίζουν τις ιέρειες και τους κούρους που συμμετέχουν στην τελετή αφής της Ολυμπιακής Φλόγας για τους χειμερινούς αγώνες Μιλάνο-Κορτίνα που θα διεξαχθούν τον ερχόμενο Φεβρουάριο στην Βόρεια Ιταλία. Από την αρχαία Ολυμπία, για το Euronews, Γιάννης Γιαγκίνης.